For more than 1,500 years, leaders, kings, and even conquerors traveled to hear a voice that spoke from complete and utter darkness, a voice that would actually shape the course of history. Today, we are diving deep into this incredible and honestly little-known site, the Oracle of Klaros.
I mean, just think about that for a second. Could a single sip of water from some secret hidden spring really unlock the future? Well, for centuries, people were absolutely convinced it could. They traveled from all across the ancient world to a sanctuary built around that very idea. You know, what's so fascinating here is just how secretive and mysterious this whole ritual was. This wasn't some big public show. It all happened at night, under a full moon, with this choir of young people singing hymns. Then a single priest would go down, all by himself, into a dark, underground chamber, a place nobody else was ever allowed to see. Down there, he'd drink from the sacred spring, get some kind of divine message, and then deliver it as a prophecy, in verse, to the people waiting outside. That secrecy, that was a huge part of its power.
Okay, so where did this incredible ritual actually take place? Well, this was the Oracle of Klaros, an ancient prophecy center dedicated to the god Apollo, located in what is now modern-day Turkey, not far from the city of Izmir.
So, what was Klaros exactly? Well, it started out as the official holy site for the nearby city of Colophon, but it grew into something way, way bigger. It was an oracle, or as they say, a biliklik merkezi, a prophecy center that was active for an unbelievable 1,700 years. Let me put that in perspective for you. It was running continuously for longer than the entire period from the fall of the Roman Empire to today. Just wow.
So you have to wonder, how did a remote sanctuary become so incredibly famous? Well, like any great institution, its reputation was built on some seriously powerful stories. So let's get into the legends that started it all.
You know, the founding myth of Klaros is actually a really tragic one. The legend says it was started by a prophetess named Manto, who was forced to flee her home in Thebes. And the sacred spring, the very source of the oracle's power, was said to have been formed from her tears of grief. Her personal sorrow literally became the wellspring of prophecy. This timeline really puts its incredible lifespan into perspective. I mean, it was founded way back in the Bronze Age by Manto, and then its fame just exploded under her son, the seer Mopsos. It advised legendary figures like Alexander the Great, hit its absolute peak of influence during the Roman Empire, and only went silent when Christianity became the dominant force in the region.
Now, this is one of the greatest stories to come out of Klaros, this legendary showdown. So you had Kalkos, who was the most famous prophet from the entire Trojan War, and he travels to Klaros for one reason, to challenge its young seer, Mopsos. It was this high-stakes contest to prove who was the true master of prophecy, like a heavyweight title fight for seers.
And the result of this epic clash? Mopsos won. The legend says Kalkos was so totally defeated, so humiliated by the superior skill of the Klaros Oracle, that he literally died of despair. And the key thing here is that this story spread like wildfire, and it cemented Klaros' reputation as the undisputed champion of prophecy. No question.
But the event that truly launched Klaros into international stardom involved Alexander the Great. He had a dream about founding a new city on a hill called Pagos. So he sent his people to Klaros to figure out what it meant, and the oracle delivered this exact message. And based on that prophecy, Alexander relocated the city of Smyrna to where modern-day Izmir is. I mean, when the most powerful man in the world acts on your advice, everybody takes notice.
For centuries, these were just stories, just legends. But then, archaeologists started digging, and what they found? Well, in some ways, it was even more incredible than the myths.
Okay, so what does this number represent? 8 meters. This is the height of the main statues they found at the very heart of the sanctuary. That's almost 27 feet tall. We're talking about the height of a 2-story building.
And this just shows you the sheer scale of the place. Archaeologists found the remains of 3 colossal statues. Apollo sitting on a throne with his sister Artemis and his mother Leto standing beside him. And the best part? They found them right where they were originally placed. Finding monumental sculptures of this size still in their original location, or in situ as archaeologists call it, that is incredibly rare.
All right, here's another number for you. 100. What could have possibly required 100 of something at a religious site? This one points to a practice on an absolutely epic scale. A hecatomb. So what is that? It was a massive sacrifice of 100 animals, usually oxen, to the gods. Ancient texts talk about this all the time, but until the digs at Klaros, there was never any physical proof it actually happened. archaeologists found this perfect arrangement of 100 stone blocks, each with an iron ring for tying up an animal. It is the world's only archaeological evidence for this legendary ritual. And the list of unique things just keeps going. Beyond that mind-blowing hecatomb, Klaros is the only sanctuary ever found where even the temple steps are covered in inscriptions from visitors and cities. It's like an ancient guestbook carved in stone. And on top of that, it has the only Doric-style temple to Apollo in the whole region of Ionia, which makes its architecture totally unique for its time and place. It really is a one-of-a-kind site.
So, after all these centuries, what's the lasting importance of this oracle in the darkness? Why does it still matter?
I think the most important thing to understand is that Klaros wasn't just some local fortune-telling booth. It was a center of immense soft power. Its prophecies weren't just personal advice, they were geopolitical guidance. For 17 centuries, its voice helped shape decisions, found new cities, and steer the course of empires.
And that kind of leaves us with one final thought. That desire to know the future, to seek guidance when things are uncertain, that's a deeply human thing. If a voice from the darkness could give us one clear answer today, what would we as a civilization even ask?